All right, so we should be good to go, guys. Fuzz, everybody, let me know in the chat if you guys can hear
I
me this
just
week.
got a message from YouTube saying that you're going live.
All right, good, 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 good. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry about the technical difficulties right away. Fuzz, can you confirm in the chat that everybody can hear me? That everybody's still connected, real quick?
Yeah,
Um,
everything is live on the channel.
okay.
Yep,
All right, just want to
things
make
go
sure
good to go.
we're good to go there. Hopefully everybody's rejoining. All right, sweet. So thank you everybody for joining us live. Sorry we're starting up a little bit late. Had some technical difficulties there. Still working the kinks out, as you guys know. We're making this transition with YouTube and doing something a little bit different using OBS, using Streamlabs. So I got to get my settings and everything right before we can start the show. But once again, guys, as you file in, please say hello in the chat. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are on the road, guys, to 2,000 subs. Appreciate the support. You guys are here every single Saturday, rocking out with us, joining us live. So once again, let us know if you can hear me live. Everything sounds okay. Everything looks okay, because I had to stop the podcast and then restart the podcast. So please respread the link, guys. I'm not sure if it changed, but if it did, please tweet out the proper link. I'll do that myself during the show. But we are one man down, as you guys can see on the podcast. Shout out to Stagger. He had to do a couple things today. Shout out to you. I know you watching, listening live. Appreciate you, Stagger. Much love, man. We're going to get it in for you today. This show is dedicated to you today. Appreciate you, man. Always showing up, showing out. But let's go ahead and just get to the panel, man. We got the other co-stars of the show, man. My right-hand man, as I should say this week. Fuzzy, we're going to start with you, Mrs. Smooth. I know you've been kind of hanging out in the cut, kind of doing your own thing on Xbox Live, but let us know what you've been playing this week, what you got going on and how you feeling.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Fuzzy Belvedere here. As some may know, kind of recovering from a leg injury. Can't do any driving, so I'm getting all of my driving, you know, fix out of Forza for the past week. So been kind of incognito, off and on, just playing offline,
Mm-hmm.
primarily because can only be on there with so many hours, and then working from home and whatnot. But yeah, it's great to be here. Great to get to talk about some games and hang out with the crew. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man. Oh, we always look forward to this every single week, man. A lot of that has to do with you guys in the chat right now. Everybody watching live. Once again, make sure you guys retweet that. Let everybody know. Best show on the weekends, man. We really do it the real right way on the show. Shout out to everybody who's been through, by the way. Our last podcast guest, shout out to Cog and the Lords in the Iron Realm over there. Appreciate them just gifting us one of theirs last week. If you did not watch it, go back and check the archives. The show is in the archives. Go check it. Last week's show was awesome. We're gonna go ahead and move right over to Centurion, man. The newest member of the podcast, man. A great guy, consistent. He has hands in a lot of cookie jars. You can barely catch up with this man. You're gonna have to make a deposit, and you have to make an appointment to get a hold of him soon, because he is busy. He is all over the place, and I'm hearing he has a lot of other new things, endeavors, I should say, that he kind of has his hands in. Let us know what you got going on, Centurion, where everybody can find you at, man.
Well, you could find me here every Saturday with you guys. Other than that, I'm on YouTube and them constantly creating videos, and I'm on podcasts all over the place, like Saltiest Gaming
Shout out to
Podcast and
Salty,
TXR. Yeah, and
TXR.
I just came from Xbox, the next podcast, and he
Shout out
wanted
to
me to let
Bot.
you know, man, that everybody on the cast says what's up.
Oh, for sure, man. Appreciate Bot, man. That's my guy. Me and Xbox go way back, man. It's been a minute since I've been on this podcast, man. We've always had this weird thing because our show is always kind of overlapped. As soon as I moved it to Saturday, it overlapped, but he's always been super duper supportive of the show. I've always been supportive of what he's doing. Shout out to him, Mel, his wife, I believe. Shout out to them, their entire family, man, everything they're doing. Shout out to TXR as well, man, the OGs, man. They do a lot of good things over there. So you guys go ahead and follow those guys on Twitter as well. I'm going to make sure all of that's in the description below. Let's go ahead and get this show started. We got a lot to talk about this week, a whole lot to unpack. We're just going to go ahead and start quickly with the poll of the week. Now, generally, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I do this poll every single week. I kind of alternate between a poll and a question. So this week's poll of the week obviously is Gears related, Gears 5 related. it's kind of a fun poll. Threw kind of the debate out there to see what people wanted to talk about, see what people's opinions were. So we had a large number of people actually vote on the poll. So appreciate you guys support. Another poll coming this Monday and/or question. So support me, follow me on Twitter if you want to see that. But the question is Gears 5 the most well-rounded exclusive gen this generation? Now I feel like that is a fair question to ask. I don't feel like that's too much. Now anybody in the chat, let me know right now. Am I doing too much by asking that question right now? I feel like the timing of that question is just right. Now we're not at the official end of the generation. We got some big fish coming up. Cyberpunk, Last of Us. So we got some big things coming along the way. So it's not the official end, but I feel like so far up until this point, what you're getting from Gears from a standalone single player of that quality from a high quality multiplayer. You got tons of different modes, escape, horde mode. It's all kind of different things. I feel like it's giving you a little bit of everything, but it's not giving it to you in a medium manner. Everything is high quality. 8 to 9. I don't want to put a number on anything, but you're all of those. There's no drop in quality across the board, and you see it a lot of times with these games that don't normally are able to stretch themselves the way Gears can. There's a lot of great games that do two or three things decently, maybe one or two things decently, but they can't really stretch themselves. So I want to go ahead and ask everybody here on the panel as well as you guys in the chat. Do you guys feel like Gears 5 is the most well-rounded exclusive or just, exclusive this generation? We're going to start with you, Fuzzy.
Mhm.
I know you probably ponder over that question, but what would you think, man? Is that too much? Am I asking that too
No,
much? No, you don't
no,
think so?
it's no. I don't think you're asking too much on that question. I think the biggest thing is considering how good the single player is and how good the multiplayer is. It is probably one of the best well-rounded games of this generation as far as an exclusive. Yeah, there are some other games out there that have a good single player multiplayer that aren't really exclusives that might be a little bit better well rounded, but overall I would say this from an exclusive standpoint it has it clear cut. um, we'll see when The Last of Us 2 comes out if they do another multiplayer and if they improve on their multiplayer compared to the previous one. But I would say Gears definitely has it at this point in time. Some people would say Halo 5, if their single player was a little bit better, it would have definitely
Mm-hmm.
had a stand against that claim. But yeah, I definitely think Gears 5 is probably one of the better, well-rounded, fleshed out multiplayer, fleshed out single player. They're going to keep on adding stuff as they go. So I'm looking forward to how this thing winds up even 6 months from now
Are we getting
when they have
DLC?
additional content. I'm pretty sure they have additional content coming out and additional modes and things like that. They haven't really specified that, but it just seems like that's going to be their new motive. And I just did a survey recently on Mixer. That's one of the surveys was relating to using your
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft points for subscriptions, and then the other thing is as far as like interaction with some of their games, like just like the way Forza has it, where you get influence from watching players.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're going to have something for Gears similarly added throughout the lifespan of this game.
Nice.
So it'd be nice to see what they do, and if it winds up being just either more story modes or more content as far as skins, weapons, things like that, that would be kind of cool to see.
Awesome. I agree. And I don't feel like that's too much to ask right now. I kind of had to think about that when I was sitting in my car before I went into work Monday morning. I'm like, man, should I really ask this question? Because I really feel like when you think about what you're asking, what we ask of these games, and what standard these games should have as far as every single column, if you sat down and break every game down, a lot of people, I don't necessarily like to do that. I just want to play a lot of times. I'm not that critical, but if you really look at what you're getting as far as a package, there's really no lack in any area. Graphically, it's impressive. Sound quality is impressive. Now, these are all tangible things. There's also other things that you can't really, that are more, I guess, subjective, like how the game makes you feel, the emotional connection to the characters. But what you're getting is a well-rounded body of work. Is there really anything realistically, Fuzz? And we're damn near at the end of this generation. Is there really
Mhm.
anything that if you broke down and said, look, this, and this are doing those things at that consistency as far as across the board, at that high quality? There's really, I can't think, and this is me being dead ass honest. I can't
Yeah.
think of another exclusive that's as well rounded. You know what I'm saying? There may
No.
be things like God of War. I think maybe does 2 or 3. God of War doesn't have a multiplayer mode. Or not. That's no
Right.
strike against God of War. But when you look at if you're gonna put those games on that type of pedestal, you got to look at everything they're bringing to the table. And I'm not
Yeah.
taking that away from God of War because that's not something that the game was even. So I'm not gonna give God of War a strike for that. But it's impressive. Am I right? I mean, am I right?
Oh yeah, I totally agree on that. I mean, like I said, The Last of Us 2 might give it a run for its money if it's multiplayer
Yeah,
as a
we
step
haven't
up
we
from
haven't
what it
seen that.
was
Yeah,
on the first one, but
we haven't seen it.
I, well, wait, that's right. Because what do you call them? Uncharted 4 had multiplayer, but I would say it's nowhere near the
Yeah,
caliber of what Gears
yeah,
multiplayer is. I suck at Gears
I do too.
multiplayer, and I'll tell you, Uncharted did not even. It's. I mean, I would rather play Grand Theft Auto multiplayer, but I don't know. That's from an exclusive standpoint. It's the most well rounded. Yeah, the racing games have a single player aspect, and
That's true. I
Forza,
didn't I didn't
but
consider
it's
them.
it's not as big of an appeal across the board for everybody out there. Like if you're into racing, sure, Forza definitely has a little bit of everything for everybody, but it's more of like what people like to say a niche
Got it.
category. So I'm not even going to, fathom putting Forza in that category.
Got it. Okay, Centurion, it's on you. It's on you, man. What do you think about it? I mean, I know you answered the poll as well. I'm sure you did. What do you think about it? I mean, is that a stretch? Am I right? Am I on base? You and by the way, guys, disclaimer here: this man has a full, comprehensive breakdown. I'm sure he has a lot of Gears related videos. Recently, he's been putting out a ton of them. Does a great breakdown of how the game has been reviewed. Probably the best breakdown we've seen on YouTube thus far, and that's no cap. Not even stretching that. So go check out his videos, man. He's been doing a lot of things. Great videos. So go ahead, Centurion. I just wanted to make sure I plugged that before you started.
I
What do you think about Gears 5, man?
thank you for the
Oh,
compliment
yeah, no
and the
problem.
vote of confidence on my content there. Um, well-rounded game. I would have to say yes because everybody wants to talk about God of War and all
Great
the
games,
other
by the way.
PlayStation.
Great
They are
games.
great games, but
Fantastic games.
let's really talk about well-rounded. There's more than just graphics and story. You have multiplayer for the fans that like multiplayer. You have story. Um, it's had its hiccups, but they've dealt with them as they come in a very quick fashion. It is definitely a very well-rounded game. I'm enjoying it. I'm about in the middle of Act 2 right now. I haven't been able to play it as much as I want,
Hmm.
but it is what it is. But I'm enjoying what I'm playing, and I remember reading that review that straight up said that, that Gears 5 was empty and emotionless. It doesn't really feel all that empty to me, especially when you think about other titles. Also emotionless. I really don't know where they got that because,
Yeah.
when I don't want to get into the story, but where I was at when I was walking through the hallways and they're talking about what went down in there and the things that were done, you're just sitting there like, wow, this is deep right now. This is definitely kind of pulling on your heartstrings of like, my God, there's, this is things that could actually go on today that people don't even really know about. And like, you wouldn't want that happening today, let alone happening in a fictional universe.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a very well-rounded game. And to also not bring up another subject in it, but we all know that it's built on the Unreal Engine. Like you can see how well this game is actually functioning compared to the new release of Borderlands 3. You kind of go out there right now on Google and search it. Borderlands 3 is having all sorts of optimization and performance issues, and both of these games are built on the same engine.
Yeah, I mean, and we let's be clear about that. We're talking across the board from PC all the way down
Yeah,
to
it's
X
yeah.
to from PC all the way down to vanilla Xbox One. So
And yeah, that's I mean like it got so bad that dealer actually hit me up and warned me about Borderlands 3 because he knew I went out and got the Super Deluxe edition but I got it on like a special deal, so I didn't buy it at full price. But still, I've never had anybody like go out of their way to DM me and warn me saying, "Hey, there's some serious optimization issues with this game."
Yeah.
But back on the Gears 5, I've been having a blast. Man, I really couldn't say a bad thing about it right now, and I'm not trying to sound like an Xbox fanatic, but it's definitely up there in the same caliber as some of the great PlayStation exclusives when it comes to the quality that you're getting, the thought that's been put into the story, and the gameplay mechanics. And let alone, everybody's always hung up on gameplay, well, it's not really gameplay, but they're always hung up on story and graphics. Let's talk about the technology that's involved in that game. 60 frames a second,
Crazy.
and they've even found a way to squeeze a little bit of ray tracing in there. I know ray tracing is probably a niche thing right now, and a lot of people could care less, but when you see a character walking around and they have blue lights on their armor, and those blue lights are creating a blue glow on the side of the character's face, that's ray tracing at work, creating that. It's subtle. You don't really see it right now, but as the technology progresses, it's just going to get more and more eye-popping.
It's crazy. It's insane what they're able to do. I mean, every time, like it's just insane what they're able to do across the board, and I think that's a testament. Shout out to Coalition. Shout out to Rod Ferguson, the entire studio. If you ever see this podcast, man, you guys did a fan-fucking-tastic job with the game. It was
Oh,
well worth the wait. It was well worth
and
the
I
wait. Go
just
ahead.
remembered something. I'm not trying to interrupt
Yeah,
you,
no, you're
man.
good. Good. Go ahead.
But remember, we're getting for anybody that's interested in Gear Pass. Remember, tonight we're giving away a free month of Game Pass on the show.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir. So Centurion is going to announce that. I'm sure you'll let everybody know how they can get it, as well as
Oh
the
yeah,
way they can
here in
get
a
it.
little bit we'll ask a question, and the first person to kind of put the answer in the chat, I'll be sure to send them the code to their Twitter DM.
So make sure you put the answer in your Twitter name, so that way he can tweet you as well. That
Yeah.
way we can get this giveaway out. So appreciate it, man. Centurion. That's something that he just did kind of on his own. We just something he just did on his own. Want to give him all the credit for that. So appreciate you guys showing up. As well. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. That was a great warm-up topic. Once again, thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. It's been an amazing show so far. So, kind of segueing off of that, we're still talking gears. We're talking gears in a different way this time, though. So I kind of saw somebody pose this question, but it was in a different format. So I kind of reworked it and actually asked the question in my own way. So we see, I feel like gears, because people are there's stamps in every generation. There are games that like put a stamp on the generation. Boom, something significant happened with this game. And I feel like with the Xbox, you kind of feel like Gears is that notch in the belt that was like, what I'm saying? After you eat a big dinner, you let that one notch go, and you're like, oh, that's a whole lot better. I feel like that's the point where Xbox is at right now. We see what we can do. The technology's getting there. We're already partially using some of the technology. So my question was, is Gears 5 the start of a new renaissance for Xbox? Now, there's a lot to think about in unpacking that question, because a lot's happened, especially within the last 2 or 3 years, with all the acquisitions, the brand new studios. Phil, them basically double down saying, look, we're focused on single player games, we're focused on multiplayer, we're doing a little bit of everything. We got this whole cloud gaming, idea that's going to change the world. Satya, the entire company, is behind it. We're making money. Yeah, we're not selling as many consoles as we had predicted or we had wanted to, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, with Gears, I think, being that stamp, let's start with you on this one, Centurion, since we ended on you. Do you feel like Gears is that start of a new renaissance, potentially, to get the new generation started off on the right foot for Xbox?
Yeah, it's definitely the start of a new renaissance. And also point out, this is kind of the start of the new regime. When Phil Spencer took over in 2017, in the position that he's in now, he had to deal with the aftermath and the leftovers from the old regime. And without mentioning names, basically, there were some executives that completely canned a lot of ideas. They canned a lot of studios. They, basically just completely let the actual Xbox company itself get into a big mess. And we saw that last game come out, Crackdown 3, and that was pretty much the last game out of the old regime. And now we're moving on to Phil Spencer's era of creating games. He's had his hands in all the games that have been created since 2017, and Gears 5 is a good example of how he has influenced how they've wanted the direction of this company to go. And I really do feel it's just going to continue to get better as time goes on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree as well. Now Phil's. I mean, he got the keys to the car year two, about halfway through year two, something like that, when they finally hit the e-brake, and they said, Matrick took his check and went to somewhere. I don't know, Facebook. I don't know where the hell he went now, but
He crawled in a hobbit hole.
No, the soda company, not the soda company. The what was it? The ones that do like the gem things or whatever. It was like he went to a mobile game company for a while, and that kind of fell flat. King
oh,
something or
oh,
something. King
yeah,
Games or
whatever,
something.
yeah, whatever, yeah. So whatever. Either way, that is true. So I mean, I feel like with the maturation of Gears and the way the push behind Gears was impressive as well. We've always talking about them marketing games properly, and they're really giving Gears a huge push as far as like marketing as well. And that's something that we've all wanted them to do a little bit better job of, the timing, the resources they put behind, especially these huge games that they have. So I think that there's a lot of things there, and I think that they're loaded up. I think things are getting heavy on both sides of the fence. Let's not exclude Nintendo as well. They're still there, but Sony, for the most part, they're loading up. We know they're loading up. We know Sony is loading up. So things will be very, very interesting. So I want to get your perspective on that, Fuzz. What do you think about maybe Gears 5 being that stamp? Okay, we're ready to do what we need to do, and we're making that transition.
I can agree that it's definitely a step in the right direction as far as it. Will it be remembered as much when the launch games come out for the Scarlet? Probably not as much in comparison, but for right now, this is definitely a good sign as far as the start of the next generation or the beginning of the Renaissance. And the one thing I'm going to keep an eye on is the consistent amount of games, even though some of them that are coming down the pipeline are not going to be exclusive, i.e., was it Outer Worlds?
Hmm.
That's coming out not
That
too
was
far from
already
now.
pre-done, though. That was already something that they were doing.
Yeah, but I think part of the prospect of them wanting to purchase them was looking at what they were doing on that. So they kind of saw what they were already working with.
True.
Plus they had like a working relationship that didn't quite, come to fruition beforehand. They were supposed to do that launch title. I forget the name of it now, but it was almost like an open world medieval, but like futuristic and medieval clash type of thing, where you would fight dragons and whatnot. But they definitely have that coming out here soon. You got the Bleeding Edge coming out
Hmm.
soon. So it's going to be like every couple of months, there's going to be something from Xbox Studios coming out. So I think Gears 5 is the perfect, starting point. And then I don't know what they're going to do as far as their Forza games. I'm looking forward to when Forza 8 comes out, but I guess that's going to either be a launch title or maybe a year later. But in
Yeah.
any event, you got that, and then you're going to launch with Infinite. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a good start, and
Yeah.
it shows that, okay, yeah, like you said, he took over the keys after year two. Now everything is, starting to, hit the ground running type of deal. It takes a bit of time to get hardware and software, up and going. So now it's, 4 5 years later, it's now showing, the fruits of that behind the scenes changes and things that they've been working on. Looking forward to everything from this point forward.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. It's gonna
definitely
be great.
agree.
It's gonna be great, and it's gonna be fun to see because as consumers of a electronic product, we're all gonna be happy at the end of this generation. I feel like, man, things are gonna be great. We're gonna talk about the Last of Us later. I'm not gonna dive into that. That's its own specific topic for this show. But either way, I want to kind of piggyback off something we've talked about here, and you brought it up. So with Gears 5, be it the way it is, are we looking at Gears 5 as a prelude to Halo Infinite? Is that it? Because somebody asked, God darn it, somebody asked Rod Ferguson. I can't remember the specific question, but I think it had something to do with Gears 5 being, I don't know. It was some odd question that they asked him, but how do we feel about Halo Infinite at this point? Because if Gears 5 can do that, and we're getting a launch game from 343, do we feel like, I mean, that's gonna be, I mean, is Infinite gonna dwarf Gears 5? Like based on just, I mean, it's hard to say without, we don't have a whole lot of evidence, but can we make that assumption that Infinite's probably gonna dwarf Gears 5 as far as scope and scale and budget and just blockbuster feel about it? So either one of you guys can answer this.
I think it will definitely. I don't know if it's going to completely overshadow it, but we'll probably, and I hate to say this, we'll probably forget about Gears 5 by the time Infinite comes out because of all the things that it's doing and all the things that we'll see in that game. But I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but I do expect some big things from that, especially looking at what the Coalition was able to pull off on the current hardware for Gears 5. And then if Infinite's already like a new engine that's being mainly pushed for the next generation console, I mean, yes, it'll work on the X. Yes, it'll work on the standard Xbox One. But we all know that that's not going to be, it'll be able to run, but it may not look as, pretty in comparison. But I definitely think we're going to, see something that's going to wow us and wow those that don't already have, something in the Xbox ecosystem to possibly consider getting that console for next gen. But definitely looking forward to Infinite. But I would have to say anything from this point forward, considering how well Gears 5 looks right now, anything from any Xbox studio from this point forward it's just going to keep getting better.
You set
and
the
better.
Bar. You pretty much set your own personal bar. Because I've heard some people doing that after playing and seeing 5. Like it has to be this or better. Like it has to be this. This should be the benchmark. But I don't know if you agree with that. So
we'll see. I mean, I would like to see this level of detail in a State of Decay 3 possibly, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it, but it would be nice, especially now that they will have that full budget, that they'll have that intermingling from the different studios to be able to share tech, to share techniques and things like that, working with these engines and stuff. So for next gen, on the Scarlet, I would expect this or better as far as a graphical standpoint. Fair. I mean, except for something like Battletoads. Okay, I get it. It's going to be a HDR cartoon style thing, and that's fine. I'm fine with that as long as it plays smooth and it's fun to play. I'm happy with it. But for realistic graphic detail stuff, I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to the art style to see what Bleeding Edge is going to look like, because some of those character models are pretty cool. So I definitely want to see that.
I agree. I think that game may be fairly surprising as far as like the actual like fun of the game. It looks so fun, but I haven't watched any gameplay of it in a little while. But from what I remember, it just looked amazingly fun. But anyway, Centurion, if you wanted to answer that question as well about Halo 5, I won't say, maybe I misspoke when I said dwarf. I just mean that. On a bigger scale, obviously new hardware. There's new expectations at that point, technically for the game. So we're not looking at it from that point. Like obviously, it should be better in these obvious areas. But for you personally, where's Halo at now that we've seen Gears 5?
Well, I'm gonna say that for starters, the fan base for Halo is probably larger than the fan base for Gears.
I agree. That's probably not even a question.
Right. And so in its own way, it's going to potentially dwarf Gears 5 just because of the amount of fans. But to put it out there, Gears 5 multiplayer and the game itself functions completely different than Halo.
True.
So some people don't want that first person perspective. They want that third person over the shoulder. And, in Halo, you don't have a Brody run. In Halo, you're jumping around, you're floating. I mean, like they're all over the place. where Gears is a much more grounded game. You're ducking behind cover, you're all running around, but you definitely ain't floating through the air. So I want to say the games are both going to be similar in size and scope when it comes to the gameplay, the quality, and also you can just kind of see that, they're putting this much emphasis into the multiplayer of Gears. Halo has a cult following for their multiplayer, And so if they're putting this much emphasis into the multiplayer of Gears, we can only imagine what they're putting into Halo and the modes that they're trying to create that are going to definitely help differentiate it from past Halos.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And I had to bring up Halo because I just thought of that question. I thought of that tweet. I can't remember exactly what they asked Rob Ferguson, but it was something along those lines. But yeah, I think all of us here are excited for Halo. We understand what Halo should do. We understand, obviously there's gonna be just the bar is set. I mean, we're looking at things from a higher perspective at this point. We're at the ass end of the generation, started a new one. So I'm sure all of us are incredibly excited about what we're going to see. I know I am. So let's go ahead and
So,
go ahead.
Blam,
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to say, what do you think about, since we got 20 viewers, why don't we give away that code right
Oh
now?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it
yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
pertains to Gears 5.
Yeah. Okay,
Nice.
so
So,
let's do that, guys. So if you're watching live right now, get your ass in here. If you're watching and you're not actually in the chat, get in here because this is for you guys as well. Okay, so I want you to explain what we got going on. We're doing a live giveaway, guys. Centurion, this is his entire idea, but let everybody know in the chat how they plan on winning this and what they can do.
So I'm gonna ask a question. All you're gonna have to do is type in one word, and then at the very least, if you want to put it out there as the one word, and then put your Twitter DM, just so that way I could send the code to you personally in your Twitter DM, and I don't got to worry about somebody trying to snag it from you in the YouTube chat. But I guess here goes the question. Gears 5 has successfully dethroned a game for the most played game this month. And other franchises have tried to do this, but the first person to put the name of this game that was dethroned in the chat, I will send you this code.
And it's for a what month pass?
Yeah, it's for a month of for a month of standard Game Pass. It's not Game Pass Ultimate, but it's that way you can still play Gears 5 and the other great titles in there. Mm-hmm. But all you gotta do is put the name of the game. Oh, well, Shansu already did it.
Damn you, Sean. Sean, that was quick. Oh, right? We got another guy. A couple other people right after him. Damn, that was quick.
So yeah, I guess Shansu, man.
Shansu with the quick trigger,
right?
Man.
But that's what I mean. It's Fortnite. That's dude. Apex Legends tried to do that. Battlefield tried to do that. Red Dead Redemption. Everybody tried to go after that crown of most played game, and obviously they couldn't do it. And all of a sudden, Gears 5 comes out, and it happens.
Nice.
All right. So Shansu said to skip him. So I guess BC McNasty.
Oh, he said skip him?
Yeah, he said, "Lol, skip me, no Twitter, lol." Yeah, so I guess BC McNasty. So BC McNasty, if you want to put your Twitter DM on your in the chat, I will send it to you.
Shout out to Shonsu, man. That's such a classy thing to do, man. If you're already locked in for a couple years with the Game Pass, might as well give it to somebody who may not have it. So thank you once again, Centurion. And you know what, guys? This is something we're going to try to do more often. When we get things, I don't do a lot of giveaways on the show, and I appreciate you guys still watching. You guys still come without me doing any of that, but that's something I want to incorporate. Gift cards, points, whatever I could do to show you guys my appreciation, and kind of reciprocate that love in return. So
he's even saying skip him too. So now we're on
as well. Okay, so we gotta keep moving.
Magnetic Storm 25.
So Magnetic Storm, let us know in the chat right now, man. Do you already have Game Pass? It's funny because it's a lot of our viewers would have that already. That's
right?
Kind of ironic. You know what I'm saying? So, wait. Oh no, Other Zinc, don't lie. You say you were next. You weren't next. Shout out to Other Zinc, man. The mod, one of the best mods ever, man. So Magnetic, let us know, man. Looks like they moved on to you. He said Magnetic skipped as well. Okay, like I said,
you can see it too.
Oh wow!
What about El Manopio? What about you?
El Manopio. I've heard of him.
El Manopio.
Oh
Jesus, get it right. El Manopio. Are you stacked up? Say give it to Zinc. Shonsu said give it to Zinc. Zinc, do you have Game Pass? Let us know, chat. Or Elemento Pio, let us know as well if you're watching.
If Elemento Pio says skip, then it's definitely going to Other Zinc.
Well, Elemento Pio, shout out to Beezy, man. Appreciate you. Said he already had Game Pass. Said let somebody else enjoy. Appreciate you though, man. Thank you for being honest. He said, Indy said skip fest. I know, right, Indy? Damn it. We're going to have to start auctioning the damn thing off. It's
Matt,
ridiculous.
your chat's quicker than mine.
Yeah, well, Zinc has Game Pass. So, Zinc, all right. We were
You can
waiting on
always do
Elemental
extra
PO, but
money.
either way,
Yeah.
we'll keep an eye on the chat. He'll let us know if he has it or not. If we aren't able to give it away, I'm sure me and Centurion will figure something out, figure out maybe how to give it away. Maybe he can hang on to it for another time. Whatever he wants to do with it is his code to give away. But I appreciate you once again. Elemental PO, hit us up, man. Hit us up. If you don't have it, we'll give it to you. If not, we'll figure something else out to do with it. But let's go ahead and keep things
Just goes to
moving.
show you how popular Game
I
Pass
know,
is.
right? Crazy, right? I mean, come on now. We just did a damn survey without even doing a survey. It turns out everybody in the chat, almost 20 out of 20 got Game Pass. So that's amazing. Shows you how important that is and how great of a value it is realistically in real time. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic now. I saved this one for later, because let's put out a disclaimer. All right, I didn't throw this in for no jokes. I'm dead serious when I ask this question. Okay, Death Stranding. Got some new gameplay. Fuzz, stop with the laugh. We ain't even started yet. Damn it. But Death Stranding. No. For real. Death
Yeah.
Stranding. We got some new gameplay at the Tokyo Game Show. It was a little eclectic. It was a little different. But from what we've seen, I mean, we've been seeing this game for what right side of 3 years now. Somewhere going on 3 years. We've been
Yeah.
seeing bits and pieces of the game since they first announced that he was doing his own thing. And I'm still lost. I understand more so now with the new footage, the direction he's kind of trying to go in. But man, is Kojima something else? I mean, he is something else with the ideas. People call him a genius. There is a fine line between being a genius and being crazy. There's a fine line. So I don't know, man. So I want to get you guys' opinion chat as well as you guys' opinion here on the panel. We'll start with you, Fuzz. I'm dying to hear what you got to say. I don't know if you watched it. Have you even attempted? I mean, this is being fully subjective. I don't really have much because I can't. I don't know enough of what it is to really
Yeah.
make a conclusion on what I'm seeing. So it doesn't really match. But go ahead, Fuzz.
No, I'm kind of interested in this game, but they still haven't answered that question as far as why uh, the I guess the deaf creatures, and I guess it's when you're on the other side why you have to stop breathing so they don't attack you, but yet they attack dead bodies type of thing. So there's still that plot hole for me there, but overall, it's a different looking game. I have a feeling that I'm going to be facing more time on the dead side, fighting my way back. And from what they say, not killing or killing is not the right answer in most of the cases. I have a feeling that there's going to be more to fight on the
Well,
dead
he
side
said
than
it's going to
this
be
on the
a
live
super
side.
easy mode as well. Remember, he came out and announced it's going to be a super. It might as well be a passive. It's like passive mode on Minecraft. No mobs.
So basically, it'll be story mode. So, oh, you want to watch a movie? Yeah, just hit the easy mode button. No, but I really want to give this game the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know if I want to pay full 60 for it. I'll be honest. I definitely paid the full 60 for Days Gone. It had its hiccups. I haven't picked it up in a while, but yeah, I still kind of interested, but not at 60. It's not as I mean, it's a beautiful looking game. The environment is awesome, and some of the little details in the grass and all that stuff is
It's
phenomenal, and the gear on them, as far as like the detail on the gear and whatnot. But I don't know. I
it's
just
quirky, and
yeah.
I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. It's like Lemony Snicket's quirky. Like it's not a bad quirky. You could clearly see the art in it
Mhm.
because I feel like that's what Kojima. When he doesn't really he draws outside the line. When I guarantee you when Kojima was in like elementary school, there was no. I mean, when they gave him a paper, he didn't see no lines. He drew all because that's just the way his mind works. I think he wants you to see the art essentially and what the bind is as far as the humanism. He's pushing
Mhm.
that a lot, the human aspect of the game. I don't know. It's something. There's a disconnection for me as to what I'm seeing versus what I'm expecting. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a
Yeah.
complete. I just don't know what's going on, and I mean maybe that's a good thing. I mean,
Mhm.
it could be a good thing. Maybe I'm just naive to the obvious point. I don't know, Fuzz. Where am I at? I mean,
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how many people are streaming this with the gameplay and how it reviews. Like I know it's going to have, they're going to have kid gloves on it to some extent reviewing it because there are a lot of Kojima fans out there. But I want somebody to deep dive into not the mechanics of it because I have an idea of what that's going to be like. I want to understand the two sides or the two different worlds you'll have to kind of fight through and how that compares to, you know, like The Last of Us 2, because I know we're supposed to get more of that later in the year
yeah,
and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Looking forward to it, but I don't want to pay 60. I'm putting it out
yeah,
there like that.
yeah.
It's probably going to wait a month or two, and then hopefully it gets discounted. Like what was that other one? The robot story thing. Um,
Robot story.
the one with the choose your own path.
Oh, Detroit. Detroit was actually really
Becoming,
good though.
I mean, that one was good, but it was like within 2 months, it was like half price. So
Yeah, that's true.
I
It,
think
it went.
I'll
Yeah,
kind of wait for the same deal on this.
yeah. Okay, well, fair point. So Centurion, I'm dying to hear what you got as well, man. I know we've been talking about Death Stranding here and there. I know there's a lot of jokes, a lot of memes, but I want to be fair because we don't know. Seriously, I want to be fair only because I don't. For me, like I keep kind of going back to, the connection hasn't been made yet, but that could just be the point of the game. I get the art, kind of where he's going, the human aspect of things, and there being light, dark. There's a yin yang kind of thing going on there, but where are you at on this, man? Do you got any clarity here?
I will be truthful. I didn't really watch the Tokyo
I
gameplay or
did.
whatever was
I
going
got
on.
I got through about 22 minutes.
See, I'm kind of Death Stranding out purely because at this point, even Kojima has come out and said, I don't know what the game is about. I hope that was just a joke. But it's definitely an art style and a direction that I just feel like at least the casual gamer is not ready for. I know that there's going to be some people out there that are huge Kojima fans that are going to totally understand this game and appreciate it, but whether they want to admit it or not, that they're going to be few and far between. Like if you were to go into GameStop right now before this whole Death Stranding fiasco and ask, do you know who Hideo Kojima is? They'd be like, who the hell is that? You
Well,
know,
it's not necessarily the guy, but you're right. You're right. He has a cult following. He is a genius. At the same time, he's extremely eccentric. A lot like Peter Molyneux, those kind of types, real artsy fartsy with the games.
see, like,
Um,
look at some of the greatest artists of, at least the past, like Picasso and them. People thought their work was completely outrageous and they were out of their minds, but there was people that found appreciation for it.
we
And
do
as
now.
yeah, and as time went by, there was an even greater appreciation
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
So that's where I just feel like this game is definitely going to develop more of a popularity and more of an understanding as time goes by and people are able to discuss it and play it and all that good stuff.
yeah.
But again, this is a game that's going to make or break Kojima.
I doubt
Especially
that
if
he's gonna get another game. Matter of
he's
fact, if he don't
funding.
already have another game that he's looking. Matter of fact, he mentioned the other day he wanted to be a hermit crab. His next game, he wanted to be no dead. Read the tweet. Go to Twitter. I
I know.
retweeted it. He said he wanted to be a hermit crab. That was his premise for the next game. I have no idea what that means, but this is where we are. So
Yeah, see that. Oh man, like I said, I'm just Death Stranding now. I want to pick it up eventually just to check it out and see what all the hype is about. Purely because I like engaging things like that. But oh man, I don't know if a good portion of the gaming world is ready for it.
we'll see whether or not we like it. We will see. We will definitely see. So once again, that was not to dog Death Stranding. It was just to get everybody's temperature as to where you guys are at after seeing the extended gameplay. Because I know before this gameplay, we were so far out in the woods, man. It was Hansel and Gretel out there. We was following breadcrumbs trying to figure out where the game is, what's going on. So we had no idea. But either way, we're excited. It's new. It's new. It's a new game. It's a new game. Sorry. So it's gonna be exciting. It's Kojima. It's gonna have a lot of hype around it as well. So we'll see if that hype is warranted. So let's go ahead and move on to the last topic now. I saved this for last on purpose. Once again, before I even dive in here, thanks everybody showing up, showing out. Everybody that's live in the chat, appreciate you guys, man. We're still trying to figure out this code situation. I don't know if AP did he even not DM, but did he even put his DM or his response in the actual chat? If you didn't, AP, let us know if you got Game Pass. If not, once again, we will figure it out. We'll figure out what to do with the Game Pass. So we're grateful that Centurion is sharing that Game Pass and giving it away. So thank you once again, Centurion, for doing that as well. So let's dive in, man. Last thing we're talking about, Last of Us 2. I saved this for last on purpose. The media event, September 24th. That is this month in 10 days. So we know that this is not the end of the generation. Okay, we know we're getting hardware from Sony, Xbox next year at some damn point for sure. Xbox at least in the fall, some point. Sony, who knows? Probably maybe a little bit before, maybe a little after. Who knows? We're getting new shit next year, new everything. We just got off the topic about Gears of War 5. There is an elephant in the room that we have to discuss called Last of Us 2. And I know we haven't seen now. Maybe there's some behind the scene, close the door footage. The last thing we saw was, I believe it was like a scripted footage. It was, a short gameplay, more scripted than anything. Looked fucking phenomenal. Looked phenomenal. I don't know how much actual like controller in hand that was, but obviously we know they're going all in with Last of Us. It's Naughty Dog. They're going all in with Last of Us. So where we're at on what do you guys think we're gonna see? What do you guys expect from Last of Us 2? Now, I'm expecting with this news coming out right around that time. I mean, that's gonna be a heavy day. That's gonna Twitter is all PlayStation that day. That's Twitter's all. If you can't take it, please get off of Twitter. If you're an Xbox fan and you can't take it on September, because it's coming. Last of Us is coming, and as soon as they open the doors and talk about this game in any length, yeah, it's a wrap. So I want to get your opinion first, Fuzz. Did you know about the media event, and what are your expectations about the blowout we're going to see? Because I know it's coming.
Just recently heard about it, but I expect that it's going to be everything, all PlayStation all day for probably a few days.
Oh yeah, easy.
As that game is discussed, and I think that's going to be the bigger draw for the PlayStation base in comparison to Death Stranding. Death Stranding is going to have, it's a couple of days in the spotlight when it does get released and stuff. Like, what was that, November or something? But it's everybody's waiting on The Last of Us 2. Like, people, even there's a lot of Xbox fans that have a PlayStation primarily just for The Last of Us and God of War, and a lot of them are going to be waiting to see what it's going to be about. Whether
we've seen Ellie
the other guy is still alive, or
Ellie
how Ellie is, and
she's doing different things now. So
it's definitely going to take a big chunk of everything social media for some time, but
all day.
Looking forward to it. I'll be honest. I'll put my fraud papers out there. I didn't play the first one on my PlayStation 3. I bought my PlayStation 3 for other types of games, and that just at the time I guess I blew it. I missed it. Yeah, I can go back and get it remaster or whatever, but I think by the time it came out, I had already purchased my PS4, and I was already playing Dying Light. And Dying Light was the king of all zombie games. I don't care what console you're on. I can't think of any zombie game that's better. I mean, yeah, there are aspects in a few other ones that I like, but Dying Light was the king of it, and that's why I passed on The Last of Us. But now with The Last of Us 2, I might give it a shot, but I know that's going to be a huge media draw for a while, and I'm expecting to see some additional gameplay, potentially hear about the multiplayer, because that's the only thing that they were kind of lacking on the first one, from what I gather. But they got a they got to at least say something if they're going to do multiplayer or not, which I'm guessing that they will. They'll definitely probably wow us a bit with some of the improvements they made over the first one. But yeah, I expect to see multiplayer stuff, some more story insight, whether there's additional characters that you'll be able to take along with you, or that you'll be able to play as, or whatever the case is. But it should be pretty
Oh
interesting, and
yeah,
I know
it's
it's going to drown out
oh man,
anything in the Xbox or
oh yeah.
even Nintendo camp
Oh yeah,
for a while.
for probably the entire week, I wouldn't even doubt it. It's gonna resonate for a while, probably until we get, if they do a PSX, or obviously XO 2019, because something like that's gonna come along. But it's gonna take a lot of that buzz. But either way, it's gonna be robust. That's one thing I'm not worried about. The Last of Us 2. Now, I was a big critic of The Last of Us 1. As great as a game as that was, I always felt like it was a better movie than a game. If you just took away the actual gameplay, it would have been a fantastic movie. I mean, if they were able to adapt that, fucking fantastic movie. But nevertheless, I think The Last of Us 2 is going to be amazing. I listen. There, if we're being honest, we look at these games and we have certain level of expectations. We look at Halo different. We look at God of War different. We look at Last of Us different. This game, that bar is set extremely high. That bar is set extremely high. I mean, how many people were talking about Last of Us 1 being the game of last generation, even though it came out at the end of last generation? And they're talking about this is the game of the gen. It was 2 years left in the generation. So I'm expecting, I'm not going to say game of the generation, but it's a pretty high bar. So Centurion, let us know what you think about that, man. The event, September 24th. Have you heard anything about it already, or what are your expectations?
Ah, my gosh, I will be upfront and truthful. I still have yet to play Last of Us the original. I don't
Oh, man.
really play. I know I feel like a fraud. I really need to.
Come on,
I'm pretty
guys.
sure I'm going to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
What I'm expecting is, they're going to be trying to capture some of this hype that has been going around with Gears 5 and other games, and they're just basically over here screaming, hey, don't forget about us. And I'm not trying to say that to sound like a troll, but I just think it's really all of a sudden very convenient that they just all of a sudden come out wanting to talk about Last of Us 2. But I expect whatever they're going to show is probably going to be great, and everybody's going to be talking about it. And, I'm probably saying that they're probably going to have like you know, a release sometime in spring of next year,
I'm
whether
thinking
it be
so
like
too.
March, April.
Yeah, I'm thinking early next year as well.
Yeah, so definitely it's going to be something that I'm going to definitely check out because I told myself I wanted to play the original Last of Us before I played Last of Us 2.
Okay. Fair point. Fair point. You got to check it out. You too got to check it out. Now, like I said, I was a heavy critic of it because I actually played it, and I thought the gameplay was pretty mediocre. I thought it was pretty repetitive. Throw a bottle, distract a guy, do this, do that, rinse and repeat to each different level. Now, the story carried. I think the story carried the game. Gameplay was not mediocre, maybe wrong choice of word, but it wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't anything I hadn't seen before. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I was at. But the story, the characters, the audio, just all of that was just so great that it carried the game for me. But either way, I feel like that's going to be a huge blowout. It's going to be nothing but Last of Us 2 on the 24th, probably for the next at least week after that. The game is going to be huge, man. It's going to be big. Now, once again, what we're getting, we don't know. Fuzz, that gameplay we saw. Remember we saw gameplay. I don't know if it was it last E3 or the one before. No, they weren't at last E3, obviously. So it was the one before that, correct?
Yeah,
2018?
yeah.
2018? Okay. Remember we saw that gameplay with Ellie and it was gory as shit. Remember that? It was
Oh yeah.
gory. But was that actual controller in hand because there was no HUD at all. I don't believe there was a HUD. Maybe there was a map or something or a health bar. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I have to go back and look. But was that actual? I don't believe that. I think that was that scripted.
I think that was partially scripted where you're probably going to have to hit like the button prompts or something along those lines type of deal. But the one where they were in like the store where she's
Yeah,
like ducking behind cover
yeah.
and shooting arrows, I think that's going to be actual gameplay. Obviously, it's that was like shown on the Pro. It's probably well. Then again, the PlayStation 4 is not too far off, just a little cloudier looking or a little hazier looking, but Yeah, for the most part, I think the one in the store where she was shooting arrows, I think that was more gameplay. But the one where they were breaking somebody's arm on a rock or something like that, I think that was more scripted and probably button prompt stuff. And I know the arrow store thing had the a couple of button prompts when he tackles you, so it'll be nice to see just regular like how open world or how much free roam range you have. If it's going to be like, oh, you can go in every abandoned store and every abandoned car, yeah, that's going to be a huge step forward. But
Yeah.
if it's like, oh, just walk down this road here and you can only enter this door and this car, I don't
We'll
know.
see, and that's another aspect of the game too. We got to see how narrative driven it is, and because the last one was pretty straightforward. There
Yeah.
was not a whole lot of roaming. I mean, you could search around little areas. They had areas you could search around, find little things, but it wasn't really crazy. That wasn't really the approach of the game. Now it worked. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a negative. It just wasn't really the direction. But going forward, we'd like to see some changes. The game looked great. I think visually, that's probably going to be the standout aspect. I expect visually it to be the standout. If it's not, I'll be greatly disappointed because
Yeah.
I expect Last of Us to look like a top 3 game this generation. Last of Us 2. I expect that because I mean, if we're real, just like I'm expecting Halo Infinite to be the best looking game we've seen probably the last 15, 20 years, I'm expecting The Last of Us 2 to be incredibly beautiful. I feel like it's going to be, so we'll see. We'll definitely see. And chat, let us know about that as well. Now, I do want to get a question from the chat. We haven't been taking as many questions lately because we've been carrying over here. So I am going to take one additional question today from the chat. I just want to say thank you guys for continuing to support us here on the show. Subscribe. I made sure I tweeted out the link to the actual channel so you guys can subscribe if you have not. Appreciate the continued support here. Everybody just showing love every single week. Tell your friends about us. Bring them into the show as well. If they don't know about us, make sure you guys retweet the link. Follow everybody here on Twitter. Once again, shout out to Stag. But I'm gonna take one more question. So live chat right now. Throw any question you want in the chat. I'm gonna answer the question. We're gonna answer the question as a panel here. So let us know what you guys wanna talk about. Anything. So we got a shout out. I'm gonna do quick shout outs here while we're waiting on the question. Element of PO, Shonsu, Mr. Kima, shout out, man. Indie gamer, I know the AA talk, AAA talk, I get it. But yeah, we all I like to throw indies in there too every now and then. We just didn't get to any this week. Shout out to other Zinc, Mod of the Year, Shonsu again. BZ, everybody that's watching live, man. Ashtray. Do we get any questions yet? Let me go down. Oh, okay. So Shonsu did ask something. He said, "What is your most prized piece of gaming memorabilia?" That's actually a really good question. I'd probably say just my Xbox now. I mean, I don't really have for me any gaming memorabilia anymore. I'm less of a collector and more of a player. I don't really collect anything honestly, from this point forward, I'm probably just buying digital. So there's really going to be nothing to collect unless I, randomly want like a statue or something like that. Maybe a poster or something. But for me, I think it would just be my Xbox. I know that's not glamorous. I would say I think the most, and I'm upset that I actually gave it away. I was calling myself being super nice to this kid because we were moving. My Halo 3 Legendary Edition with the helmet
Mm.
that I had to stand still and everything. It was perfect condition. I box everything still for it. I know it's not worth a whole lot, but still, to me, that's something that I prided myself on buying. I was so fucking hyped when I went and picked that thing up. They were literally walking people out the mall when they went to pick up their Halo 3, because people were getting robbed. People were getting robbed, like going out the store, or people were like standing outside trying to sell them to people, like for way
Mm.
out ridiculous prices. So for me, that would have been something that if I would have kept, probably still I'd have right now. So Centurion or Fuzz, I don't know if you guys want to answer that question.
I think for me, you can go, Centurion.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Favorite piece of memorabilia. Man, I didn't really start getting into collecting till pretty much the end of last year. So at this point, I'm just gonna go with the first one I bought because it's the one that pretty much got it started. All the pre-order for the Power Armor helmet for Fallout 76, even though that game isn't what everybody wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, I've been collecting pieces here and there, and you know, um, to remember that, because this generation is the first generation I really got into gaming extremely hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
I even got into content creation and got to meet great people like you and Fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of buy myself like a trophy that would remind me of this generation, that's kind of why I invested in the Gears 5 Xbox One X, because
Nice.
that's going to be one that I'm going to hold on to, and I'm always going to be able to look at it and be like, that's when I got started in that community.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that console is amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, there's a bunch of unboxings on YouTube for it. Go watch it. I'm surprised you didn't do one. That would have been dope if you maybe you get an unboxing sometime soon. Who knows? Just throwing it out there. You never know. But either way,
I just
um,
don't know if, like, I'll be upfront, man. I live in a very small 1 bedroom apartment, and I just don't. I wish I had a better camera to
oh,
do an
got it,
unboxing,
got
and
it.
so I'm
Okay,
just like not set
understandable.
up for it. So I was like,
Got it,
yeah, I don't want to even
got it.
try.
Hey, understandable, man. Just never know. You never know in the future that may be something that you'll be able to do. So, Fuzz, what about you?
Between my Scorpio Edition Xbox One X, I would say my biggest thing are my collector. Well, they're not even really collector. It's like the um, I guess you could say the collector edition books. Like I used to buy a lot of the gaming guides from like
Nice.
what was that Prima and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I got like my Ghost Recon one. I can see my 76 one. I know I got my one for Red Dead Redemption. I got the one that started all well actually the two that started was like Ghost Recon because I even got the little novel for it, and then I got the survival guide for the Division, the first one, where it
Nice.
had like some of the cheat or like some of the notes on some of the clues for finding some of the echoes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really collect them as much as I actually use them. Like I when I play the game, I'll thumb through them. I try not to break the binding or put creases in it. But the few of them, like that survival guide, I use a whole heck of a lot because there were certain pages where you had to use like this card that had like cutouts and it gave you a code, and based on that code, it was like a direction to one of the streets where you could find an echo and like some weapons and things like that. So yeah, I just have probably a bookshelf worth of strategy guides and collector edition guides with the artwork. Even have the Andromeda one and the Dying Light, Watch Dogs, actually both of them. So
Nice.
it's like, yeah, that's I don't know. I would like to collect statues, but I don't like dusting too much, and it's bad enough to try to have to
Yeah.
dust the Xbox and clear the fans every other week or so. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, collectibles. Yeah, you can get a glass case, but I stopped doing that after I got out of NASCAR. It's like I used to collect a bunch of NASCAR collectibles, and it's like yeah, after Junior and Smoke retired, I'm like, enough with collectibles, taking up space,
Yeah.
too much dust stuff.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So that is gonna wrap it up for us today, boys, man. So once again, we just want to say thank you guys for showing up, showing out every single Saturday, man. Another show in the books, man. Shows are getting better and better. This time I wasn't running in last minute. I actually was able to get here, get prepared, get everything started early. So we did have one hiccup, guys. So I do apologize for that. Next week we're gonna make sure every box is checked off so this experience can be a little bit smoother for you guys entering the show. Once again, though, just appreciate you guys. Shout out to our compadres who are not here right now. Zalker, shout out to you, buddy. Shout out to Jarhead, man, the unsung hero of the podcast, as well as shout out to Stag. You and your family, I know you spending a little bit of quality time with them, so if you catch the show later, appreciate you, buddy. But then we'll go ahead and give proper round of applause to these two fine gentlemen here. Appreciate them being my compatriots, kind of my bookends, hold me up every single week, as well as the other gentlemen that I just mentioned. But we're gonna start with you, Centurion, becoming one of the most busy people on Twitter as well as YouTube in the community. Let everybody know what you got going on first, where they can find you, man.
Oh, you can find me every day on Twitter and YouTube at Centurion1307. But you can also find me here every Saturday, kicking it with you guys on the Shop Podcast. But I'm also on Saltiest Gaming Podcast on Thursdays and on TXR, the Xbox Roundtable, on Sundays.
Awesome, man. Busy man. Don't forget blog as well. All of that good stuff.
And I'm also supposed to be on with Wilmy Hood this Monday.
See, look,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just follow
same
him on
here.
Twitter. If you want to know what's going on with him, follow him on Twitter. Fuzz, right? I'm pretty sure that's not Fuzz, but Centurion. That's a lot of that's our hub. We do everything really pretty much from Twitter. You can figure out the shows we're gonna be on, where we're gonna be at, the videos we have upcoming. So follow him on Twitter. I'll make sure that's in the link in the description below, as well as Fuzz. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to you, Fuzz. I know you've been kind of on injured reserve lately, so to say the least. But let everybody know what's going on with you, where they can find you, what you got going on as well.
Well, you can usually find me on Twitter, although I've been a little silent more so than usual, but always reviewing some posts on Twitter. You can also catch me on Xbox Live. Probably won't be playing PlayStation for a bit. Might turn on Gran Turismo at some point, but not anytime soon. Kind of hooked on Forza, but if I'm on Xbox Live, chances are I'm probably playing Forza. Since I can't drive, I'm gonna get my driving fixed somewhere. So, but other than that, it's so great to be on here with you guys, and awesome chat today, awesome questions, awesome interaction, guys.
Appreciate it. And your host with the most, last but not least, PTK Blam across the board. If you want to play games with me, hit me on Xbox Live, PTK Blam. I'm getting a lot of followers. I did put out a tweet lately. Appreciate all the recent followers. If you follow me for whatever reason, never thought I'd be closing in on 2K. That's crazy for me, at least. 2K followers, man. Appreciate the support. Just continue to follow, man. We're trying to do a good thing here. I'd kind of like to look at our show as, one of the, shining lights of the community. Very consistent. If you go back in the archives, we do what we do. We always honest about what we're talking about, and I always try and get high quality individuals on the show. That's why I have a panel and it's set the way it is. These guys are amazing. So no discredit to anybody else, because this is the best show on the weekends as far as video game podcasts. You can book it. So follow us next week, same time, same place. We're gonna have one, maybe two guests on next week, guys. So look forward to that. One is probably returning. The other is brand new. So this is going to be fun. Follow us once again. Keep in touch with that. Tap in as well on Monday, because I always do the question of the poll of the week. So we're out of here, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Go have fun with your family. I'm getting on some video games with my wife. We'll probably watch a movie as well. Fuzzy, if I can find your ass on Xbox, I'd like to get on and play with you if you can. I know it's outside of work hours, so you should be good to take yourself off offline. But either way,
Yeah.
everybody, love you guys. Love the support, man. We are out of here. See you guys next week. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy.